Daniel chapter number 8, verses number 3 through 7. Then I lifted up my eyes and saw, and behold, there stood before the river a ram, which had 2 horns, and the 2 horns were high, but one was higher than the other, and the higher came up last. I saw the ram pushing westward and northward and southward, so that no beast might stand before him, neither was there any that could deliver out of his hand, but he did according to his will, and became great. And as I was considering, behold, an he-goat came from the west on the face of the whole earth, and touched not the ground. And the he-goat had a notable horn between his eyes. And he came to the ram that had 2 horns, which I had seen standing before the river, and ran into him in the fury of his power. Now, the prophet Daniel is getting detailed information like he hasn't before about the next 2 world governments. Daniel was looking towards the river, and that's when he saw this vision. Now, considering Babylon would have been down here, and here's the river Ula right up here, we had to imagine Daniel was looking towards the east, looking this way. And when he looked towards the east, he saw this great ram come up. In the vision, Daniel saw where the ram pushed towards the north and pushed towards the south. Then he pushed towards the west. So we can see from the river Ula, we can see the direction of the Persian and the Medes Empire. This is what Daniel is talking about in terms of the kingdom of the Persians and the Medes. The horns represents the 2 different kingdoms. And it's stated here how the latter kingdom, the Persian and Medes, the latter one will be greater than the first. So that's what the 2 horns are representing right here, the kingdom of the Persian and the Medes. And it talks about how their empire spread and nobody could stop them. We read about Darius and Cyprus and how their kingdom was so successful and how they actually marched in and took Babylon without even a struggle. How they came in and interrupted Belshazzar's feast. And then Daniel goes on and talks about a he-goat came. And this he-goat had a great notable horn, and how he touched not the ground, and how he rammed into the ram with his fury. Now, most people will agree this is Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great's story is really very amazing. We can see Alexander the Great's lifetime was only to the age of 33. And we can see here from this timeline of where he was tutored by Aristotle in his early age, but we can see after his father Philip II was assassinated, Alexander took over the throne at age 20. A 20-year-old, a relatively college student, mind you, took over. Alexander the Great was so gifted. Some writers had wrote that he was sad at his father's military success because he was worried he would not have anything to conquer of his own. And we can see from the time Alexander took the throne to the time of his death, his premature death was 13 years. And in 13 years, he had conquered all of the known world. This young scrapling, he moved, and it was so swift. And we can see how the prophet Daniel is seeing all of this, how that's what it means when it says he touched not the ground. How he was allowed by God to move so swiftly. It was almost as if he was flying at his early age. Let's take a look. This is one map of Alexander's the Great's kingdom. This is another map, and it talks about how Alexander the Great moved eastward. And we can see the kingdom. If we take a look at this map, we're talking from Egypt all the way up here around the Black Sea, most of Europe as we know it, all the way across to the Indian Ocean and to India itself. A young man at age 20. This is how great the empire the Lord had allowed him. Now, if this is not proof of a God in heaven that has everything planned out and mapped out for all of eternity and revealing what he will to his servants, what else could it be? That's why nothing surprises God. Nothing comes up on him. Nothing takes him off guard. Nothing catches him off guard. He knows everything. And that's why he constantly tries to encourage us to trust him. Trust him. God, we bless you. We give you glory. We give you power. We give you praise. We ask that you have your way in our life, that we may trust you and believe in you the more. Thank God.